Well, hello everyone. Welcome to FSMA Friday. This is the best way to end a month and ignite your weekend. And today we are going to learn what elements of your food safety management system will not only ensure quality and safety alignment, but will support meeting the production team's goals. But before we begin, since we have so many newcomers joining us today, FSMA Friday is our monthly series for those up and down the food and beverage supply chain to get regular updates, insights, and guidance around changes within the Food Safety Modernization Act. And this session is brought to you by Safety Chain and the Acheson Group. And this is your chance to learn all about new methodologies and tools that can help you consistently meet those FSMA requirements and keep your customers safe and healthy. So please do come back every month on the last Friday of the month. Okay, just a few housekeeping items before we dive into today's topic. We have muted all attendee mics, but obviously are going to leave some room at the end for some Q&A. So during the course of the presentation, please send in your questions, your comments, your concerns, your ideas into the chat panel, the question panel, and we will try to get through them all before we run out of time. If we do run out of time and your question did not get answered, we will follow up after the webinar. And yes, our most popular question is this presentation being recorded? It is, and you will get that recording later on today along with the presentation slides. So keep a lookout in your inbox. All right, let's get to know our speaker today. I'm very excited to welcome back Ranjeet Klair. She's the Food Safety Director at the Acheson Group. And some of you may have seen her before. She had come on FSMA Friday to chat about some supply chain controls and ways to optimize your CAPA program. So Ranjeet, thanks for coming back to clear up some possible confusion around what a good food safety management system should look like and how it can really impact that food safety culture and deliver on those production goals. Would you mind taking a few moments just to kind of let everybody know a little bit more about your background and what you're doing today at TAG?
Thank you, Jill. Yeah, this is Ranjeet Klair. I've been working in food industry from last 23 years and mainly in Canada and US, and came with the Master's in Food Science and Global Food Law degree from Michigan State University. I've been working in the food sector from the facilities to the retailers to the auditing world and training. And currently I'm working as a director of food safety with the Acheson Group, where we are a group of 30 professionals working with Dr. David Acheson, and we are making lots of difference in the industry by putting helping the clients for crisis management, the gap assessments, root cause, public health, microbiological issues, trainings, and other facility design. So we are a group of individuals with the different capabilities, and we work together. So I'm a part of that team, working as a director of food safety.
Excellent. And at the end of this presentation, we will share some contact information over at TAG so everybody here can look into them and get some additional resources. Great.
All right. So Jill, I can start, I guess.
Oh yes, yep. Looks like we have a full agenda today.
Yes. So this is the agenda, folks. We will be touching base on, in addition to FDA latest FSMA updates, we will also look into quality management system and its evolution from a starting point of ISO to latest today's world of global food safety initiative and latest food safety modernization expectations of the regulators. So the agenda is packed, but it's all connected. We will go back and forth to connect the dots of the story between QMS to FSMS in this presentation. Before that, we wanted to share as a part of the ritual of FSMA Friday is that what is happening in FDA world in terms of the Food Safety Modernization Act. So the latest update, which was started in end of July, and latest is those three. Like they have published the user fee information collected in FY 2022 for reinspection, recalls, and VQIP program. As per their latest information, they did not collect any fee for reinspection for domestic food facilities, foreign food facilities, or importers. In 2022, they also did not had any fees collection for that. In 2022, the user fee rate for participation in VQIP program was the figures were given as 15,938, and it was then invoiced to 4 importers, totaling of around 63,000 invoiced and collected payments as a result of the user fee. More information is on the FDA website about this latest update. So let's dive into the presentation of what we wanted to convey, the information about quality management system and food safety management system. So if we get into ISO definition of quality management system, which I will call in my presentation QMS in some cases, it's a set of coordinated activities to direct and control an organization in terms of quality. And this was set out in the ISO standard, and you will find them in almost every ISO standard where the quality standard is expected to be reviewed as a part of the standard. There are key principles of quality management system. The goal was a customer focus and the leadership involvement of people, the process approach, continual improvement, evidence-based decision-making abilities, and relationship management. So this comes like internal and external communication between the parties to ensure all the elements which we are trying to achieve for quality are met. And what is involved in quality management system? And you may have seen this a lot of places in different training materials, in the standards, in the presentations, that PDCA, it is Plan, Do, Check, Act. These are the 4 components combined together to make the quality management system. We will get into more detail as we progress further to the evolution part. To get to know where this QMS started, ISO 9000 was first published in 1987, and it described the standards of vocabulary and fundamentals where the continual improvement, the quality management system execution related vocabulary was designed. And ISO 9001 also it was revamped, and it entered into in 2015. It was like requirements of compliance. Then there was a short standard came up, 9002, which was focused on existing production lines. And ISO 9004, there was a series of revisions happen, and 9004 end up in testing and inspection part. Later revisions of ISO revisions continued happening from 1994 to 2000, 2005, 2008, and most recently in 2015, which is ISO 9001 focused on QMS, is that this was added with a terminology called risk-based thinking, and including the context of organization and a focus on leadership and integration with other management systems. So a facility can be ISO 9001, can also have environmental related standard to be reviewed and food safety standard to be reviewed. So the system itself of ISO 9001 is designed that integration with other management systems, how that is done. Now let's talk about a little bit back to the other side, which is the FAO and WHO initiatives about any other international standard with the food safety and quality, and that is Codex Alimentarius. It is an international standard and quality standard setting body established by Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, and the World Health Organization, WHO. Codex as standards contribute to the establishment and harmonization of quality management practices in the food industry. So when we heard about, we have a HACCP program which is designed as per Codex Alimentarius. That's what it means, that it has the element of the food quality management system. With now the latest code has a food safety element in it. So Codex published the guide for food code. It's called General Principles of Food Hygiene, and it was recently revamped. And I really wanted to highlight the terminology they used to start this guide is that people have the right to expect the food that they eat to be safe and suitable for consumption. Foodborne illness and foodborne injury can be severe or fatal or have a negative impact on human health over the long term. So they really got the attention towards the food safety in this guide. And the other concern they wanted to address here, or guide the industry, international trade to address the outbreaks of foodborne illness, which can, if there is a foodborne illness, it can damage the trade and tourism, and food spoilage is wasteful, costly, threatens food security, and can adversely affect the trade and consumers' confidence. So now let's connect all of them we talk about. So Codex Alimentarius is the standard, international recognized standard of food safety and quality, which focused on consumer protection and fair trade practices. And ISO 9001 was developed for a general management of applicable standards, and including the quality management system focus. Now, ISO has started looking into what is the food safety system that we need to include in addition to the quality management system. So that's where ISO 22000 came into existence. And it is a food safety management system by the ISO, which is outcome focused, providing requirements for any organization in the food industry with an objective to help improve overall performance in food safety. So this is where food safety was started, and like if you search all the standards, ISO 22000 has the word terminology vocabulary about food safety. And then there is an FSSC 22000, which has additional requirements to meet the GFSI benchmarking, which we will get to that. Please make a note, this slide shows connection number 1, means I want to connect until what we spoke. Then there will be a repeat of this slide with the completion, because you will see another box popped up here with the link to the latest food safety management system. In general, all the standards are contributing to the food safety and quality for international trade. What is food safety management system? Now we are talking about the food safety terminology of the QA, QC people like us who talk about this every day. So what is FSMS? It's a framework to manage food safety risks, ensuring production of safe food products. What is the need of this food safety management system? Is that this is critical to the nature of food safety in preserving public health, to address the risk of potential outbreaks, foodborne illnesses resulted due to consumption of contaminated or unsafe food. Okay, now we'll talk about where those two fit into the model of like the standard. So we have two systems now, quality management system and food safety management system. The elements of quality management system was driven very historically from the beginning with the quality policies, objectives, documentation. Document control is big in this one. Process management, training and competency by internal and external resources, monitoring and measurement, and continuous improvement. Now let's jump to the very bottom of the third element, for third arrow of elements of food safety management system, which actually encompass the food safety part, which is hazard analysis and critical control point, which covers the risk of product to be unsafe, good manufacturing practices, traceability, recall procedures, allergen management, supplier control, training, and awareness. How these two combine together to give the overall benefit in the middle arrow is pointing to the bullet points showing streamlined management process, because you have a sound food safety quality policies and objectives. You have efficient resources because you are talking about internal and external resources. You have enhanced risk identification with the help of HACCP, which is coming from food safety management system, and you have reduced duplication of efforts because you are doing a monitoring and measurement of effectiveness check, and there is no any step which is not designed without a risk assessment. And next slide. So now let's put the two together here with the food safety management system and ISO. Food safety management principles are pretty much hazard analysis, prerequisites, critical control point monitoring and verification, documentation, corrective action, documentation, and continuous improvement. The ISO management system, which covers the customer focus, which we discussed in the very first slide when we talk about the QMS definition, the leadership, the senior leadership, the leadership who's supplying the resources, who's supplying the motivation to do the right thing in terms of food safety, and allocating adequate support if it's externally some external support is needed. Leadership is there to support that. Engagement of people. So ISO management system always believe in that there is no more like a closed door approach to manage the risk. There has to be a team. So there is a food safety team, there is a HACCP team, there's a quality team. So team means the group of individuals who are identified as an experts and qualified to contribute in the managing of the risk with the system. And a process approach, like what is the process to start from the beginning to end so that the risk is controlled and the product intended use of the product is achieved. Then improvement, then evidence-based decision making. This is where nowadays we call as like a risk-based. So we have a risk-based, evidence-based, we have a proper root cause analysis of certain things to find, okay, really we did have a problem. Is this evidence is there enough to make a decision on what to do with the product? And the relationship management, continuous relationship with the suppliers, with the customers. Suppliers is more critical because a safe supply chain can be ensured if you know your suppliers, if you do a right due diligence to manage the suppliers effectively. So ISO quality management system was further progressed towards FSSC 22000. What happened was ISO 22000 was having a food safety element. It provides a common framework across supply chain to manage requirements, communication, and continual improvement of the system. Then there was a prerequisites program added as a there are different sections, like there is ISO TS 22002-1, and that is for food, and 22002-4 is for packaging material. So there are different kinds of PRPs, ISO TS subsequent standards, which are designed to address that sector of the manufacturing. And all those combined together to make FSSC 22000, which is specific requirements including the consistency, integrity, government regulatory requirements, and additional requirements, which is not listed in the ISO standard. Now they have additional requirements in the FSSC 22000 standard. Now we talk about GFSI, very familiar term for everyone here. So Global Food Safety Initiative was initiated by the group of retailers many years ago to design a program which can be used as a harmonized standard to to ensure the supply chain across the globe, no matter where the production site is, it is meeting the food safety standards at the same level. So the GFSI is a private organization which benchmarks the relevant standards, and one of the few relevant standards are BRC, SQF, Global Gap, FSSC 22000, Primus, and they recognize the standard by ensuring they meet the GFSI benchmark. So when the GFSI benchmark requires, let's say, food defense is the major hot topic nowadays, or food safety culture is a major hot topic. So GFSI requires all the standards to have those expectations to met in their written requirements of the standards. So that's where the GFSI is, and everyone, most of the sites nowadays, they should have one standard, or they should be working on that if they don't have one. Now, how the FSMS and GFSI links together? FSMS is a system, and GFSI is a benchmark authority with the standard, like, are you ready with your FSMS to be audited against GFSI standard? So food safety management system is ensuring that your system is providing safe food products and meet the customer and applicable statutory and regulatory requirements, addressing the risks associated with its objectives and ability to demonstrate the conformance with specified food safety requirements. Global Food Safety Initiative is the authority, is an organization who benchmarks and recognizes that any food safety standard is incorporating effective principles of food safety management system. When a company undergoes a GFSI recognized audit standard, it means that FSMS of that company is assessed and should be complied or meeting the requirements of global food safety. It can be BRC, it can be SQF, it can be IFS, it can be Primus, Global Gap, and others. Now, if you remember my slide, which was the connection number 1, so now this slide seems like complete, because we left there when it was ISO 22000 was the latest food safety management system designed under ISO, which was used as a main standard in ISO 22000 2018, and it was subject to GFSI benchmark. So GFSI required additional requirements, which was not there in ISO 22000. So they have made another small short list of FSSC additional requirements. So those FSSC 22000 additional requirements were added to submit to GFSI to benchmark the standard against the Global Food Safety Initiative benchmark. So then we have now FSSC 22000, which is an overall standard, which is a combination of ISO 22000 and ISO TS standards of food and others categories. And now it starts with now it connects to GFSI. So GFSI is also acknowledged by Codex. So if you can see, the loop is closed now. So we know that now Codex to GFSI, everything is connected. Even within the BRC, there is certain ISO standards they need to follow to make sure they are doing a proper auditing technique. They are having proper standards of onboarding and delivery of the programs and all. So benefits of integrating QMS and FSMS is to increase efficiency, reduce the duplication of work, means quality. A customer need a quality, but also for sure, foremost is food safety is important as well. How can the both come together? If the product is safe but not a good quality, or if and vice versa, it won't work. So improved communication, because the system requires a process-driven quality policies and objectives. It's a holistic approach to manage the both quality and food safety. The standards like BRC requires to make sure the compliance is meeting the requirements of quality, safety, and authenticity. The product is legal, safe, with the good quality and authentic. So what is the food safety management system? What it takes to make it? So it can come in different sizes and shapes, but in general, the food safety management system should cover these higher bullet points of hazard analysis, preventive controls, monitoring, corrective actions, verification, and ability to reassess the system to ensure it works over the time. And this is the last and but not the least topic is about the food safety culture. So food safety management system is very, very, very important to ensure it is giving the safe production with the good quality. How is that achieved? With the food safety culture? Food safety culture comes with the senior management's commitment and promise to the organization, to the people, and to their customers. Food safety policies and practices and standards, there should be one standard adopted which works for your organization. There should be open and clear communication. You have to have every time there is a communication, the meetings, the valuable meeting outcome, the documents, the trending, tracking, and how to communicate with the employees at all the levels, not only at the C level, not only at the supervisor level, that how can the communication is open. Resources, if you need help, there are too many things to do, but there's a short head count, or lots of things to do. Customer requirements are new, so how can we make sure we have resources? There is a requirement of education and training and awareness for the right information. Everybody can do GMP training, HACCP training as a part of onboarding, but is this effective? Is this really it makes sense to them? Then visible management and support commitment for all personnel, like how you do the recognition of the good job done, how to motivate people, how much you retain the good people, or you have a revolving door, like every time people don't want to work here, or people love to work here, they've been here from last 20 years and they're looking forward to work here, continue and retire. Then feedback, monitoring, and knowing your people's needs, all those and more. Food safety culture is a very, very soft topic. It can be designed in any ways, but as long as it covers most known elements, like SQF's website has given this nice, beautiful picture, which I used here so that it looks like this should be what is a starting point, and it can be changed or molded. If you have effective food safety management system and you have a good food safety culture, this will give a very successful manufacturing of safe food and good quality food for your consumers, and we may have a least risk of recalls or customer complaints and any issues that we may foresee if we don't have an effective food safety management system. So this concludes my presentation. And I think we are right on time.
Yes, we are, Ranjeet. There is so much in this presentation. Oh my goodness. So yeah, there's a lot to unpack. I have a question, and this is just me learning a little bit more about your world. That last slide where you showed food safety culture, um, is is it incorrect to say that food safety culture is not technically part of a food safety management system, but a byproduct of a food safety management system?
Um, it's like if you look into ISO quality management system, the continuous improvement is there. So I don't know how can we connect those two. Food safety without a good food safety culture, we cannot have effective food safety management system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's
Management
where I was
commitment,
going.
yeah.
I wanted to verify that just because to
Uh-huh.
me that makes sense, but I just wanted to clarify for my own benefit. Maybe the rest of
Yeah.
our attendees got that, but thank you for that. Now I'm actually going to slide on over to the previous slide here because this, as you say, is just the highest of levels when we're talking about what a food safety management system really should have. These we'll call them pillars. And I'd like to know, in your experience, because you're walking through plants all the time, talking to various different people in various different roles, where is the biggest gap here out of the ones that we see on the slide? Where's the one that a lot of folks seem to be struggling with?
I think that it depends which plant we are going. So if there is a less effective hazard analysis done, the controls to prevent the hazard to occur, that can be in the first block. And in some plants, if they have a very nice hazard analysis done, it's perfectly written preventive controls, but they fail to do monitoring and corrective action. So we do find this as a huge problem with the industry, where due to lack of labor shortage, and after COVID, we have noticed that there is the labor stability is very low, and the employees who are in charge of monitoring are having some controls to effectively let it happen as per preventive controls. If that is not done right, I see the problem there. So it ties to food safety culture and the training and awareness. Although monitoring is the step where things can miss, and corrective action can be step where not a proper training, and somebody who did the corrective action, they may have stopped only one pallet of things, but they should have done, like, since the last positive check, whatever was, they were not sure. So how
Right.
sound they make the decision to control the risk, that's where the problem is. And it ties to the training and awareness and food safety culture.
Yeah, just picking up on something I think I heard you say when it comes to monitoring and verification, when when at least in our world here at Safety Chain, visibility is kind of a big issue, right? You have a lot of, we'll say, paper-based processes, different departments who impact food safety. Maybe they're aware of it or not. That goes back to the food safety culture thing. There's multiple different elements that are happening that could impact food safety, and without that visibility, you just don't know what you don't know. And everybody who's been on FSMA Fridays probably heard that saying time and time again. You just don't know what you don't know without the proper visibility. You can't control what you can't see. So could you dive in a little bit deeper on that monitoring piece and maybe provide an example of what proper monitoring might look like?
So monitoring, let's give an example of like taking the temperature of the product after every 30 minutes to make sure the line is running with we're cooking something, and your preventive control requires to take the temperature every 30 minutes. And now I know I'm supposed to take the temperature of the, let's call it like chicken pieces or chicken, yeah, some chicken tenders passing through the conveyor belt out of the oven before going to chiller. Now, how do I take the temperature? What portion of the chicken I should take the temperature? There are so many small steps which we forget to tell.
And
A
well, they're
simple,
supposed to be documented too, right? These are those SOPs that line workers need to
yes,
follow in
right.
compliance to these food safety regulations or GFSI, right?
Right. So SOPs is a good point, like work instructions on how to take temperature. Do I have to have the calibrated thermometer? What is my steps to take before I start doing this monitoring? To your point, yes, a very well written, step-by-step, detailed, actual realistic steps are very important. Many times we say, yeah, our employees do temperature check every 30 minutes, fine, but how they do it, with what tool they do it, do they know what to do if they couldn't do it the right way? So it's all about in the SOPs and the work instructions to know what I need to do, because those people who are working on the line, they are not designed engineers to know all the things. They are not meant
Right,
to be the professionals. Like you tell them how to do, they should do. So it's up to you how you write their work instructions.
right. Yep. Yeah, so a question just came in similarly here. Is there any, specifically they're asking for digital solutions that enhance your food safety management system. Again, here at Safety Chain, we hear all the time about visibility, so it's about capturing that data and make sure that data is contextualized through dashboards and other types of visual aids that allow you to see the current health of your organization and also the historic health of your organization so you can track trends. Are there any others
Yeah.
that you can think of, Ranjeet?
Um, there are several, but I think we should know before we decide that, like, what really we want to achieve from it. Like, is that we want to look for the real-time data, which can be
Hmm.
authentic, even if it's used, like nobody can change afterwards. It can be traceable. It can be historically pulled out. It can be time-stamped. So when it was
Right.
done. So yeah, there are several, and most of them can give you this. you have to know what you really want in order to meet all the boxes there.
Yep. Yeah, I wanna actually pivot over to continuous improvement because I know that that was one of the protocols where maintaining that consistency and making sure that you're executing properly on the various different stages. Maybe it's for hazard analysis or corrective actions. And we talked about documentation and SOPs and other areas. Where can you recommend improvements for folks that might not be so consistent in terms of following some protocols?
Like in terms of production?
It could be, yeah, or quality food safety.
Mhm. So you mentioned the word continuous improvement, and there is two words, the continuous improvement and continual improvement. So actually, ISO standard also mentioned the continual improvement. So continuous improvement is an uninterrupted flow of steps to take in improve the channels. And a continual improvement is the phased approach with the
Mhm.
pauses between the steps you take, and to make sure it's happening in the right direction. So I think we should work on the continual improvement here, because we wanted to
Yes.
know whether my risk analysis conducted today is meeting the intended requirements that my product is safe at the end. If the risk assessment is not done right, no matter how many steps we take, we redundantly continue test and check and inspect things, it won't give an assurance. You will still have a recall. So we are looking into some data with why continue companies still have recalls, because the phased approach is not there to check back. That's
Mm-hmm.
one of the major thing which folks need to consider. Like, am I doing something because it's like once it's set, it's good for next year? No, you have to do continually in small phases.
Got it. Okay, interesting. Yeah, and to your question back to me around continuous improvement, obviously you asked, hey, are we talking production side? Yes, that's Lean Six Sigma stuff. So you answered the question. Thank you for that. Let's go back to I guess the evolution of QMS. You had a point where, or a slide where it includes leadership, and maybe
Mhm.
we're going back into that food safety culture thing, but we've had a lot of discussions on FSMA Friday where some of our attendees have asked, well, what's the best way to drive more awareness to food safety on the leadership side? Everybody knows food safety is important, but maybe there's misunderstandings, or maybe again lack of visibility or something. To drive proper food safety culture really does have to come from the top. They have to be invested. So I was just going to ask you that question. What types of, I guess, tips could you give some folks here around making leadership understand and feel uh, like they are the primary driver to a
Yeah.
successful food safety culture?
Yeah, so I think as if this audience who we are joining right now or joining with us, if they are the ones in the quality assurance QA role, it's very important for us to know. I'm talking myself as a QA as well. Like, our senior management is not free all the time. They have a bigger tasks to
Right.
work on. How do we go with a simple language talking about what we need from them? I have seen many senior management team members, their role is listed in the recall execution. Like, if the
Hmm.
recall happened, Mr. Joe, who is the CEO, is supposed to call legal or somebody. But Mr. Joe was never aware that he's supposed to call legal. But his name is there in the recall program. So
Right.
point is how the QA team is using a creative way in a simple format. Like, what are my expectations from senior management? We have to manage them up. There's the
Right.
management down, manage up. So we have to manage up by saying, look, this is a food safety management system. It requires senior management to actually supply to us the resources. We need that much funds to do this revamp of drains, or we wanted to you to know you'll be participating in our traceability exercise or recall exercise. This is your role. So what I found most in the most cases, senior management sometimes often they don't know what their role is. And if QA language, we started talking to them about preventive controls, radiological hazards, they will not get it. How
Mm,
can we make sure they know what we need from them?
right.
So simple language, a small brief to senior leadership to tell them what is need. If they don't give you that, what are the consequences? Because without consequences, they may say, oh yeah, this is one of your wish list. No, it's not. It's my food safety management system requirement. It's my FDA FSMA requirement. So you can call it anything, but it has to go in a very simple, concise manner, in a very like deliverable manner, so it works.
Yeah, and outside of just the known benefits of having a good, successful food safety culture or program, there's actual revenue or maybe loss of revenue, right? There's brand reputation, all of that stuff. So it really does tie to everybody's role. And again, we've discussed this plenty on this on this
Mhm.
show, but just wanted to get your take on that one. I'm gonna hop back another couple of slides here. This one here, closing the loop. Um,
Mm.
yeah, so GFSI here, we just referenced that, and you earlier even brought up BRC. We were talking to a customer just the other day who had mentioned they were getting a BRC audit, and the auditors there were really keen on looking for proof of their food safety culture through some documentation and so on and so forth. So I wanted to bring that up just because this kind of calls this out because again we're talking about processes and we're talking about documenting those processes. So can you add a little I guess a little more meat on those bones and talk about what maybe BRC auditors and maybe it extends through all of GFSI
Yeah.
regulations. Can you shed a little light there?
Right. So you are absolutely right. The BRC particular standard has been new. It's issue 9 started February 1st this year. And it used to have issue 8, which was covering do you have a food safety culture, facility demonstrate food safety culture. That was in the last session, last standard. And company was doing basically, okay, I have an SOP, I will do the barbecue picnic, I will do pizza on every
Hmm.
Friday. Like they will say something like soft like this. That was like in the last. Now what happens is like BRC has explicitly made a section for it. So food safety
Mm,
culture is required. Like, do you have a plan? Do you have a list of tasks you are going to do? And everything should be documented. Are you reviewing your food safety culture by doing kind of understanding your employees feedback? There has to be a kind of some kind of you have to have a tool to know what your employees are feeling about food safety culture. It's not only because the QA feel is good, or senior management think it's good. It's not that. Every employee should be contributing to that, designed by the senior leadership, including the leadership of QA. Then at least once a year you have to review this.
right.
So to your client's perspective, he's absolutely right. BRC requires food safety culture, dig deep more into it than issue 8. Similarly, because this is a GFSI requirement, so even in the FSSC standard, it's not listed as a food safety culture, but auditors are required to check that. So kind of it's a new thing. It's a not new thing, but it's an improved thing, which is the right thing to do, and it's coming along very as a requirement.
Hmm.
While our regulators are also doing it, so we are looking into something more coming on the food safety culture.
No, that's great. That's really great. I know we spent a lot of time on the food safety culture. Let's get back to again maybe some of the confusion that folks might have. So yes, we kind of went through the evolution, how you know QMS kind of evolved to include food safety, and that's why we have this food safety management system. Is is it fair to say that no longer is QMS enough to address the risks that we need to be addressing?
Uh, no, it is not like now the latest regulatory requirement, FSMA requirements, GFSI requirement, customer requirement is food safety. If you call your system as a QMS and covering food safety in it, it's
Hmm.
fine. So basically, how do you call this system and what you cover in there? You have the responsibility as an operator to have a legal quality safe food to meet the local customer and legislative requirements. So If you are able to cover all of that in the QMS, call it QMS, but latest expectation of the GFSI and other standards is food safety, and also Food Safety Modernization Act is
Yes.
also very
Yes.
heavily involved in that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, good. I think that's it for questions. I will keep my eye out on that question panel while I slide on to the end of this presentation. Ranjeet, thank you very much. I know we covered a lot, well, you covered a lot here. I asked a lot of questions, try to get some more details, and there are more details. Obviously, the Acheson Group are the experts. You can go to their website at achesongroup.com. There's a bunch of resources for you to check out there on all kinds of food safety related topics. And Ranjeet, I'm sure you're happy to answer questions if they come in after the presentation, so we will pass those on to you. We also have at safetychain.com a bunch of resources in collaboration with the Acheson Group that we've put together, e-guides and checklists, things that can help you accelerate your food safety program. Please do check us out at safetychain.com and again, achesongroup.com. Ranjeet, I'd like to thank you for walking us through this today. There's definitely more that we can discuss, and we'd love to have you back very soon.
Thank you very much, Jill. Thank you all for listening.
All right. Well, everybody, have a great rest of your Friday and a wonderful weekend ahead, and we'll see you next month.